All right, today we are tackling a big one. I mean, maybe the biggest. We're breaking down one of the most analyzed, most influential plays in history, William Shakespeare's masterpiece, The Tragedy of Hamlet. So let's just dive right into this iconic text. What we're going to do is walk through the story, basically act by act, and really try to get to the heart of it all. You know, the complicated plot, the super deep questions it asks, and of course, the big one. How in the world has this play managed to grip audiences for more than 400 years? What's its secret? Yeah, this quote, it just really sets the stage, doesn't it? It's so true. Shakespeare is so baked into our culture that sometimes we don't even see it. So that brings us back to the question, what is it about this particular story? You know, this story about a sad prince in Denmark, what gives it such incredible, lasting power? So to figure that out, here's our roadmap. We're going to take a 6-part journey through the whole tragic story, starting with the big shock at the beginning, all the way to that very bloody ending.
Okay, first up, why are we even still talking about this guy? Well, for hundreds of years, Shakespeare's plays have traveled all over the globe. They've crossed every border, every culture, and it seems like every new generation finds something new in them. And honestly, Hamlet might just be the ultimate example of that. It's a story that makes you grapple with these huge ideas: grief, revenge, madness, and those things are just as real and messy for us today as they were way back in the 1600s.
All right, Section 2, A Ghost's Dark Command. This is really where the whole thing kicks off. So picture this. We're at Elsinore Castle in Denmark. The mood is tense. The whole kingdom is on edge because the old king just died, and let's just say the story of how he died feels, a little off. And you can really see the crisis when you look at how things were versus how they are now. Just a short while ago, Denmark was this stable, respected kingdom ruled by the awesome King Hamlet, Prince Hamlet's dad. But now, King Hamlet is dead, out of nowhere. His brother Claudius has jumped on the throne and, get this, married Hamlet's mom, Queen Gertrude, like super fast. It all stinks, and as Hamlet himself says, something is rotten in the state of Denmark.
And then the bombshell drops. A ghost shows up, and it claims to be Hamlet's dead father, and it has a horrifying story to tell. Turns out, the official story, that he was bitten by a snake while napping, is a complete lie. He was murdered, poisoned, in fact, by his own brother, Claudius, the same Claudius who now has his crown and his wife. And this ghost wants just one thing from his son: revenge.
Now, this is so important to understand. The ghost's demand immediately shoves this story into a really popular category at the time, the revenge tragedy. The audience back then would have settled in expecting a pretty straightforward story of a hero getting his revenge. But, as we are about to find out, Hamlet is anything but a straightforward hero.
Okay, moving on to Part 3, The Prince's Feigned Madness. So Hamlet's been given this pretty much impossible task. What's his first move? Well, it's a weird one. He decides to put on what he calls an antic disposition, which basically means he's going to act completely insane. The idea is that it'll give him some cover to watch everyone and figure out if the ghost was even telling the truth. And right away, this brings up the play's biggest, most famous mystery. Is he just acting crazy? Or has everything, you know, the grief over his dad, the shock of his mom's marriage, this horrifying ghost story, actually pushed him over the edge into real madness? Shakespeare never gives us a clear answer, which is just brilliant. And it's the question people have been arguing about for centuries. And this is where we get that legendary line, to be or not to be, that is the question. This soliloquy, it just perfectly captures what's going on inside his head. See, Hamlet isn't your typical action hero who just goes and gets the bad guy. He's paralyzed by his own thoughts. He's questioning everything: life, death, suffering. He's wondering if he can even trust the ghost. Is getting revenge really the right thing to do? And it's this deep, deep uncertainty that causes him to hesitate, and that delay is really the tragic heart of the whole play.
All right, Section 4. This is where Hamlet's plan really kicks into high gear. He knows he can't just take a ghost's word for it. He needs cold, hard proof. So he comes up with one of the most brilliant traps you'll ever see in literature to expose Claudius. He calls it the mouse trap, and the plan is as simple as it is genius. First, he gets a group of traveling actors to put on a play for the court. Then he has them act out a scene that looks exactly like the murder the ghost described. All he has to do is sit back and watch Claudius's face for any sign of guilt. Like he says, the play is the thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king.
And it works. It totally works. Right when the actor pours poison in the ear of the player king, Claudius just loses it. He jumps up, starts screaming for light, and storms out. And that's it. That's all the proof Hamlet needs. The ghost was right. Claudius is a killer.
Okay, on to Section 5, Tragedy's Inevitable Cascade. This is the point of no return. Now that Hamlet knows the truth, you'd think, okay, now he'll get his revenge, right? Wrong. This is the moment the play stops being a psychological thriller and just spirals into an unstoppable tragedy.
So Hamlet goes to confront his mother, Gertrude, and things get really heated. He hears a noise behind a curtain, and in that split second, he thinks it's Claudius spying on him. He pulls out his sword, stabs through the curtain, but it's not the king. He's killed Polonius, the king's meddling advisor. And this single act changes everything. There's no coming back from this. And that one impulsive act just unleashes a flood of tragedy. Polonius's daughter, Ophelia, the woman Hamlet loves, is so devastated that she goes mad and drowns. Her brother Laertes comes storming back to Denmark, and now he wants revenge for his father's death. And of course, Claudius now sees Hamlet as a real, immediate threat and starts plotting to have him killed. The dominoes are not just falling, they're crashing down. And all of this leads us to the final bloody act, a duel of deception. Every single plotline is about to crash together in one of the most catastrophic endings ever written. Claudius and Laertes, they team up, united by their hate for Hamlet, and they cook up a plan. They're going to stage a friendly fencing match that is anything but friendly. And their plot is just pure evil, designed so there's absolutely no way Hamlet walks out alive. Laertes' sword won't have a blunt tip like it should. It'll be sharpened and coated with a deadly poison. Just one little scratch, and it's over. But just in case that doesn't work, Claudius will have a poisoned glass of wine ready to offer Hamlet as a celebratory drink. It's a trap with no way out. But of course, the plan goes completely off the rails. It just turns into total chaos. First, Queen Gertrude, Hamlet's mom, accidentally drinks the poisoned wine. Then, in the middle of the duel, the swords get switched, and both Laertes and Hamlet get cut by the poisoned blade. They're both dying. As he's dying, Laertes confesses the whole plot, and Hamlet, in his final moments, finally gets his revenge. He stabs Claudius with the poisoned sword and forces him to drink the rest of the poison. And just like that, in a few short minutes, the entire Danish royal family is wiped out. And all that destruction leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? Did Hamlet actually succeed? I mean, yeah, he avenged his father, but he did it at the cost of almost everyone's life, including his own. So was he a noble hero just trapped by circumstances? Or was he a tragic figure whose own hesitation and indecisiveness ultimately destroyed everyone? There's no easy answer. And that profound, unsettling ambiguity, well, that's exactly why we're still obsessed with Hamlet 400 years later, still trying to figure it all out.